Did you know using your browser in incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? Take back your privacy with IPVanish VPN. Just one tap and all your data, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be instantly protected. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. Use IPVanish on all your devices, anytime you go online at home and especially on public Wi-Fi. Get IPVanish now for 70% off a yearly plan with this exclusive offer at ipvanish.com/audio.
Blazers buy out Deandre Ayton. Damian Lillard becomes a free agent. Could he be headed to Rip City? And the Blazers have done nothing yet in free agency. What gives, Joe Cronin? All that and more on the Blazer Focus podcast. I am Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and Oregon Live, joined by Craig Birnbach. Woo! Lots been going on the past few days. I can't even remember who the Blazers drafted last week. That seemed like 6 years ago. I can't remember what position was it. A point guard
I think it was
Argentina or something.
I think it was a big man from China. I believe that's.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. It's been a minute. Anyway,
he got a runway to playing time based on what we're going to talk about.
He did get a runway to play. He did. He's going to be the backup at least because since the draft, since they introduced the point guard from Madagascar. Center from China. DeAndre Ayton was bought out. Your starting center. And then Damian Lillard essentially waived and bought out by the Milwaukee Bucks, making him a free agent. A lot's been happening. Let's start with Damian just because that's more recent. And there's a chance he could return to Portland, whereas DeAndre has been bought out. Where do you want to start? You start. What do you want to say about the Damian situation?
So first of all,
there's so many different angles to this thing.
First of all, totally understand why the Bucks would do it. They got a chance to get Miles Turner. So basically they decided that they'd rather pay Miles Turner for, I think, 4 years and to play for them, and Dame Lillard for 2 years to not play for him.
5 years.
For 5 years.
But 5 years, right.
5 years for Turner, knowing that Dame wasn't going to play for a year anyway.
4 for Turner, 5 for Dame. Dame has been stretched out over 5 years. He's going to get
right. But it's 2 years. But it's a 2 years that he's got. It was 4 years. They wanted, instead of paying Dame 1 year to play for them, because he's not going to play next year. I don't care what. Anyway, I mean, I just don't see that. We could talk a little bit about the Achilles. I did some research to find the quickest healing, who came back the fastest. But I'm just saying they made a decision like they would rather have Miles Turner for 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You meant, okay. Yeah.
And pay Damian Lillard basically 1 year to not play for them because they were already going to pay him.
I got you. I got you, Stan.
A year.
Okay.
So
I got you.
And I get it because it probably means that Giannis will stay.
Maybe.
And they got a chance because the East is losing people. Indiana got way worse. Way worse. No Halliburton, no Turner. And other teams, Boston got worse. You know what I mean? So there's a runway there. So I get the move. I think for Dame, it's good too. I mean, it's not awesome to be released. It's not what he wanted when he took the trade, when he got traded to Milwaukee, but he has freedom and all that money. So he doesn't lose any money. And now he gets to choose what he wants to do. So that I get it from both sides why it was the right thing to do. Neither one signed up for this or wanted this when the trade was made, but this is kind of making the best of what turned into an unfortunate situation with an Achilles tendon injury to a 35-year-old max player.
Right. So in 2022, Damian coming off of the core muscle surgery injury, right? I felt like he had probably 4 years left in Lillard that we know, being Dame time. And then after that, it's kind of dicey because you're just getting up there in age. You never know what's going to happen, right? You just don't know when that big injury is going to hit. You know, it's just history just tells you that you start getting past 35, anything can happen. We saw Jordan decline after 35, 36. Kobe had the big injury. Like, it's just a thing. So 32, he was 32 going into that season. So that's the 22-23 season. Then the end of 4, 5, that's where we are. So he had one more year in that window, and that year is pretty much going to be, like you said, toast. So that means beyond that is definitely a Dame decline. And so if you're Milwaukee, you got to be thinking, okay, if we got to try and build around Giannis to continue to win somehow, we cannot rely on Damian to come back late next season, because what are we going to look like when he comes back? Because Brook Lopez is gone. We traded Middleton already. Kuzma was a train wreck, and we won't have Damian, right? So, Kevin Porter Jr. and Portis and Kuzma, right? It's just probably not going to work. So, yeah, it's a smart move, because you don't move off of Dame's money, but you spread it out, and that gives you a chance to go get Turner. And you hurt the team that beat you in the playoffs and made the finals, who's already reeling because they might not have Halliburton for all of next season. And Boston lost Tatum, who may miss the entire season. And even if they don't, they lost Holiday and they lost Porzingis, although they did get Anthony, but still they're not going to be the same. So, yeah, the East is up for grabs. I mean, if this right now, the Knicks, to me, are the favorites. Yeah. The Knicks are the favorites, although they're going to hire a guy who's going to fire 8 times because they didn't want to
3 times.
3 times, whatever, 3, 8, doesn't matter.
2-time coach of the year.
Madagascar, Argentina, China, 2, 3, 8 times fired. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So, yeah, I thought it was a very fascinating thing that the Bucks did. And I think it helps them. It helps them keep Giannis around at least next year, because I think they're going to be pretty darn good, because Turner is a nice fit with him. Now, Damian, on the other hand, look, I tweeted what his agent told me. His agent told me some other things as well, and other people have reported these things, but this is a great situation for him, and he's very pleased with it, because he never wanted to go to Milwaukee. He wanted to go to Miami. His agent talked him into Milwaukee because that was the way out, because Milwaukee wanted him. Toronto also wanted him, but they said, no, we don't want to go to Toronto. So Toronto backed off. So Aaron Goodwin got Damian to see the benefits going to Milwaukee. So he went. And who wouldn't want to play with Giannis, right? It's a great opportunity. And it was just all bad. Giannis got hurt the first year in the playoffs with the calf strain and missed the playoffs. This year, Damian was hurt with the calf blood clot, and then he comes back and blows out his Achilles. It just wasn't a great experience, and he's probably going to miss all of next season, like you said. So why mess around with that situation when you know that Giannis could bail, and then you're stuck there, in the final year of your deal? What's that going to look like? So this is a great situation for him. The next question, though, is where is he going to land? Now, he said straight up, like, he has a chance to make all this money, make more money. If he signed with someone for $10 million a year, right, for the next 3 years, that's $30 million on top of the 100 and whatever he had to do to him. So he's making more money regardless, and he can pick and choose his spot. But where's that going to be, and how much is it going to be determined by the status of his injury? Because look, you said you did some research. It is altogether possible that he could be ready. He could be ready to start ramping up for a comeback by next February or March, and then make the comeback and then March, play a few games, and go into the playoffs and give someone some point guard power that they might need. The problem, though, is that team is, if he's looking for a contender, how good is that team going to be without him? And are they already going to have a starting point guard? So is he willing to take a backup job to join that team? Because if the team has a good starting point guard, it helps them get to contender status. They're not going to bounce that guy for Damian coming off his Achilles. But anyway, give me your breakdown then of why you think he won't come back.
Why he won't come back? No, I'm just saying is the fastest person in the NBA to come back from an Achilles was Wesley Matthews. And he came back in 7.5 months, which is miraculous. Kobe came back in 8, played 6 games, and got shut down for the rest of the season. Other than that, there's nothing, that could come back before that. So I'm not saying he could come back in 8 or 9 months. He could. And then you're looking at, he had surgery May 2nd. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January is 8 months.
You got to count May. It was June 2nd. That's pretty much all of May. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So it's end of January.
That would 9.
Be. So give him end of February 10, and that gives him March to ramp up.
And there's a chance.
I'm just saying, there's a chance.
I'm just saying, but then the fits are very weird, right? And you have to figure that out. But it's possible. But I think that most teams would have to be looking at, if they're smart, what does this look like in the following season, not next season? Because it's also
But he could come back as a backup, though. he could come back and give you 20 minutes off the bench. And if he's hot, you roll him, you let him roll. If he's not, But
so to me, the smart
punch right away.
The smart move for a team is to sign him to a 2-year deal with the hope, with some kind of miracle, but really think about the following year. But look, there's no way to know right now. I mean, that's the thing with an Achilles injury is that, look, Jopra's bill went twice. This is not a good injury. And this is definitely not a good injury for a 35-year-old. Like, precedent on Achilles are bad. We can count the amount of people, even Wesley Matthews, it's hard to look and see how big a decline, but I looked at his numbers. They're not better. Kevin Durant's been amazing. Now he's 7 feet tall and he never played above he's 7 feet tall, but he wasn't a guy who played above the rim, pure athleticism. He is a unicorn. Let's just be honest. Boom. He's a unicorn. Kobe wasn't the same, but that didn't mean he wasn't really good. Right. So it doesn't mean that he can't come back, but we're not looking and be very, very good. But all these things being 35 and a half, because he turns
35 next month. He's about to turn
next
35.
week. I think it's July 12th or July 15th or something.
Yeah.
Right. So this month.
We're in
July. Next month.
Oh,
so
I meant this month. Sorry, I meant this month. Yeah.
He's going to be 35 and a half plus, and you talked about it. Like, that's not that there are not a lot of LeBron James in the world or even Chris Paul's, where you're still doing great. Now, you had talked about it and it's true. One of his, one of the things that makes him great is his shooting. And you would think that'd still be all right, but there is a lot of risk in betting on Damian Lillard to be an all-star caliber player. But you don't have to pay him that. So you're good.
Exactly. You don't have to pay him all-star money because if he's going to a contender, they're not going to have the room for that.
Exactly.
They're not going to have the money.
But if you're Damian Lillard, I don't think you have to find a place where you're the star or you're one of go chase. This is when you chase rings. Like, this is the time. Like, if anyone should chase rings ever, it should be Damian Lillard. He's getting his full max contract, guaranteed paid, even if he never plays again. Also, he is coming back from one of the hardest injuries for a basketball player to come back for. Chase that ring, man. Like, go. Dude, and so that's why I'm not one to think, look, am I going to sit here and say there's no shot in the world that Damian Lillard signs with the Blazers? I'm not, because you can make a decision if you're the Blazers because you want to do it to fix a quote unquote wrong. And if you're Damian Lillard, you want to do it because that's where you want to finish your career and you no longer want to chase rings. I just don't think it's good. I don't think it's the best decision for either party. I mean, the Blazers just traded for Jrue Holiday, so that you don't need the mentor there. And he's the veteran point guard that's 35 plus. So you don't need 3 point guards, right? Like, that's just not a thing you need. And if you're Damian Lillard,
they'd have to trade Holiday for sure.
Right, which is, that's going to be hard, I think, for what he makes. There aren't going to be a lot of teams that want to pay a 37-year-old $37 million a year who is also on the decline. So that's hard.
You mean in the last year? He's only 35.
Yes,
right now.
The last year of his contract. That's what they're paying for. And here's what we know: you couldn't even find a suitor for Deandre Ayton. So it's not easy out there to make these trades. And if you're Damian Lillard, chase that ring, man. Go sign with a team that's close. If the Rockets want you, and there's room for you to help out in that situation. Boston might be a perfect situation for you because you're on the same timeline as Tatum, and you could go and rehabilitate with the star. And they just got rid of Jrue Holiday. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that hole for you. But there's there's the Spurs situation. When you look, and I did it, and I'm sure you did, I did the old Google, like, what do people think about the best landing places? I found like 4 articles. Nobody's was consistently the same. some people had the Heat on the top. Like, well, he wanted to go to Miami. Now he can. Other people had the Blazers. This is the perfect place for the reunion. And other people had Houston. Other people had Boston. And that's because.
You know what I like? Here's what I like. Go ahead. Sorry, finish.
I'm just saying that everything you say right now, whatever you say, I'm going to go, oh, yeah, that's a good point. Because this is what happens when you have the buffet is open and you get to choose whatever you want to put on your plate. And that's where Dame is.
So a place I like for him is Denver.
Sure. I love it. Jokic. They have Jamal Murray and then a huge problem.
Well, but Jamal can just play the two, which he kind of does anyway. And I don't think Westbrook is up in the air with them, right?
No, he opted out.
He opted out. Okay. So you could go there and slide into a reserve role because they're going to be good.
Sure are.
But they're going to get to the playoffs. So they get to the playoffs and you just slide in there and figure out what your role is based on what you can do. At the very least, you're coming off the bench, and with a center like Jokic, who's such a great passer, he's going to find you when you're open and just be a shooter off the bench. Be what Ant was 3 years ago when he was playing behind Dame and CJ, and that year they made the playoffs. Ant would come in, and Stas would be like, you're shooting threes. You get the ball, shoot three. Be that guy for that first year. And then he come into the next year, and they go, okay, can I operate as a full-time starting point guard in a situation where I'm not number one? Not only am I not number one, I got a two guard who can fill it up. So I can be the third option. And they got Cam Johnson. And they still got Aaron Gordon, right? So I can score 15 a night, 8 assists, and be that guy. And then if it's my night, if it's Dame time and I get on a heater, I get on a heater. To me, that's the perfect spot because they don't have a true point guard. I mean Murray plays it, but I consider him kind of a combo. And you have a big guard. Man, huh?
He's a lead guard, just like Dame.
Yeah, exactly. And you have an elite center who's a great passer, right? Which is just going to be huge for you because you're going to find yourself wide open for shots.
Yep.
And you don't have to exude yourself trying to break people down all the time and play one-on-one ball. You don't have to do that because you're not required to be that guy on that team like you were back in Portland. So to me, that's one of my favorite destinations for him. Now, for Portland, look, man, I'm told he's open to it. Portland never wanted to leave. His family's here. He's going to rehab here in Portland, which is one thing that pissed off the Bucks because they wanted him in Milwaukee. But he's thinking, if I'm out 9 months, I'm going to be with my family, be with my kids. That's his heart, man. It's being with his kids, right? He got divorced a couple years ago. It's just destroying for him to be able, just demoralizing to move that far away from his kids. Okay. So the idea of playing in Portland again, I'm sure that it's something that he will consider. I just would be disappointed that he did that because I want to see him have a chance to win a title. And that's not happening here. It's not. Portland is further away than they were a couple of days ago after buying out Deandre Ayton, as far as I'm concerned. And Dame's not going to come here and be that savior. We just talked about he's probably not going to be that guy again. And you still have the Scoot situation to deal with. So now, and the Holiday. So how are you going to figure that out? Maybe you can move Holiday, just like get rid of him in some way like you did with Ayton. And then now you got Scoots. So Dame is going to come back and back up Scoot. No, Dame is going to be better than Scoot. So now you have that issue to work with. And then if he's your best player at 36, coming a year and a half removed from an Achilles, how good are you going to be? So I just don't see that being something he should do. He should chase that ring first and then finish in Portland when he's done getting his ring or coming close, and then come in as sort of a mentor, I'll back up somebody role and end it that way.
Or retire with a ring and just be an ambassador.
Or that. Because then you try and you can come back to Portland with your kids and not have to worry about any of it, right?
I'm just saying. To me, the only reason why it's even thought about, there's no match here. There's no match for the roster. No. There's no match for Dame to fit. You just got a 35-year-old point guard to be that role. So it doesn't make sense.
Unless you say we're going to start Dame and Holiday at the 2, because that's a really good backcourt. But excuse me, by the time you did that, they'd both be 36.
Well, no, you got to get through. You got to get through at least 4 months of the season with someone, so you can't trade. You can't now trade Scoot, and you got to play him, right?
I'm just saying that would be the way to do it. but they both be 36, and you still have to deal with Scoot. Yeah, so
it doesn't. It just. I mean, you can make the fit based on saying, wouldn't it be nice? Like, that's it. Like, wouldn't it be nice?
It'd be a cute after school special.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's back and he's going to play and but he's not ready to not be. I'm sure he believes, and we give him the benefit of the doubt, that he's going to come back and be a really, really good player, and a player that can play 30 minutes, and you want to play 30 minutes. And that's just, there's no play. And on a winning team, he pushed himself out to try to win a ring. He didn't get that chance in Milwaukee. I mean, if you look at the numbers of when they played together, Giannis and Lillard, it's especially offensively, it's awesome. I mean, they both average over 25 a game and over 4 and 4. You know, all the numbers are there. But obviously, it's not what happened. You know, the injuries to each of them at the wrong times. And last year was just, you know, that's awful. Like, an Achilles is the one thing you say, don't hurt your Achilles. You'd almost rather have it be a knee, you know, than that. So, yeah, I'm just saying, like, this is when you chase the ring. You're already a Hall of Fame player. You know what I mean? You're already a legend in Portland. So go win a ring somewhere, or have some moments. Why do you want to spend your last few years, especially after you just suffered an injury that's going to take, you know, at least a half a year to rehab? And it's a hard rehab. Let's not forget, it's not an easy rehab. You don't just chill. You got to work your butt off to get back. Why would you want to play meaningless regular season games where you hope to get in the play-in? Like, why wouldn't you want to play, if you're going to play it all next season, in games that really, really matter on a team that is hopeful to win a title, and then come back after a full off season again and be on a team that possibly could win a title? You know what I mean? Like, what your Denver situation has the possibility of 2 rings. You know what I mean? Like, if he can come back towards the end on a Denver team that's going to have 50 wins without him, going to be a top 4 seed probably, or if not, be doesn't matter that much. But you can help them maybe get a home court advantage, even though we showed what showed last year. But with these teams where they are, that's not that big a deal anymore. You'll play with the best player in the world and go for a chance to win a title next year, and then a chance to win a title the next year. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then who knows after that? And then after that, who knows? I just think you sign a 2-year deal. In the best case scenario, if I'm Damian Lillard, I'm telling, my agent, let's try and get a 2-year deal with a team that potentially can win a title this year and next year.
So
go ahead. And I don't care about the money because I'm rich. Right. And I'm getting full. I'm getting a max deal. Everything is bonus.
I'm getting paid $22 million a year to chill for the next 5 years. So if I'm him, I'm waiting. I'm not signing anything yet. I'm waiting because things are going to happen this offseason during the season, right? There's going to be Jokic. Why sign with them and then Jokic gets hurt in December, right? Okay. So just wait and see where things go, and then just pick your spot. Which team that has a chance to win it do I push over the top? Where everyone's saying this is a contender. They signed Damian, boom, they're the favorite. We're close to it. They're at least conference finals bound. Maybe it's Minnesota. Maybe, Conley has some issues, or maybe you just come back to backup Conley. I love that situation for him too. Or like we just talked about Denver, maybe he and Tatum come back at the same time. And then I'm signing a 1-year contract. See how it goes. And then decide with maybe 2 years. But I'm not committing now for 2 years to a situation where I don't know really what's going to happen by the time I'm ready to play. And I can't control what we do as a team until I get there, and I can't get there until I'm healthy. And when I'm healthy, I could be in the worst situation possible. I could sign with Minnesota for 2 years, and then by this time next year, Edwards is out, and then Gobert is out, and we're going into the playoffs as a play-in. Okay, what did I accomplish? Nothing. So I'm waiting.
So that's fair, but there's a risk to that.
What's that?
Well, I mean, you don't get to rehab with the team.
He doesn't want to do that anyway. He's doing it here in Portland. Okay. He's made that clear.
Well, if he doesn't want to, right? But I mean, there's planes. You know what I mean? Like where you go back and forth. You know, you don't have to spend every day there, but you can check in and
he can get his own doctor.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah. But you're part of a team that's paying you, and you can be part of the process. Landing at the last second, it's not as easy as if you're there throughout, right? Because when do you actually sign? Like because you got to get some running in. You can't just jump in. You got to get some practices in, you know what I mean? Like, and how you do that. It's a lot easier to rehab while you're on a team than rehab when you're not, because there's how they assimilate you to the team. But I get what you're saying. And also, it's not just up to him. You know, what other teams want to do? They don't want to put less money on the cap, the better, right? So they might want to wait. And also for them, there's risk. Not everyone comes back from the Achilles, you know what I mean? Like there is risk.
So who wants to pay him for all this whole year?
Agreed.
He's not going to play.
That's why I said
best case scenario too. Yeah.
And that might happen. It'll be interesting to see because this is somewhat unprecedented. I don't remember this happening. You know what I mean? Where a guy before the season started, bought out, full contract, not going to play for at least 6 months, might play at the end of the year, is 30, 5. You know, like it's all crazy. And I think it's perfect that it's Damian Lillard because he is really smart and he will make a really smart decision and he'll commit to it. But like you said, I'm happy for Dame that the injury is awful and I felt sick for him. Now I'm happy because this is the best case scenario, in my opinion, coming out of a career-altering injury at a really bad time. And there is a chance that he could to do it. And I'm not going to be disappointed. You said you'd be disappointed if he signed with the Blazers. I won't be disappointed because he's going to do what he wants to do. And the priority doesn't have to be to win rings. I've never looked
That's my priority for him.
Sure. And I get it.
That's what matters.
I get it. But I've also talked to a lot of athletes and non-athletes about reaching the pinnacle. And often it's not everything. You know what I mean? Like you win it and then the next day you have to think about, okay, now what? So if that's where he decides that it's best to be with his family and play in Portland because that's what he wants and Portland somehow believes it, then I say good for you. Do what you want. Do what's best for you and your family. Winning a title doesn't always lead to a perfect life. But I also understand it is the ultimate goal for an athlete. So I get both sides, and I want him to I want him to chase the ring because it's interesting to me. Obviously I have a rooting interest for the Knicks, but I don't have a lot of rooting interest for others. I have a rooting interest for Damian Lillard, being around him for, his entire career in Portland. It makes you have an interest. And I always say, I'm not one. Someone says, what kind of person is somebody? I'm like, look, don't ask me. I covered him in the media. I'm not his brother. I'm not his wife. I'm not his kid. I'm like, and we have been fooled many times before by athletes and what they are. I'm like, but in my experience, he's a guy that has been genuine, a great leader, a great player for the team. And I root for his success. So for that, I want him to sign with Denver or Houston. I mean, I would love to see him play with Durant. I mean, come on. We've been talking about that for so long. So, like, how nice would it be to see that pick and roll combination?
That could be a great spot for him to come off the bench, or maybe something happens with Van Vliet. And they need to start in point guard. Like, you just never know. That's why you wait it out.
And Dame could play the 2 with Van Vliet. I mean, like, that's a thing. Like, it's fine. Because as you said, he's going to have to adapt his game and he's going to have to play more off the ball no matter what when you get older. You need more rest.
Sure.
But he can shoot. That's all I'm saying is, like, he can shoot. Look, Van Vliet going to pick and roll with Kevin Durant. Dame Lillard's open in the corner. Like, that ain't bad. That ain't bad, right? That's not bad. So But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, and it gives a nice little twist. And if it goes into the season, we'll be asking, what next? Like, when is he going to sign? Like, where is it?
Lillard watched 2025 and 26. Okay, let's move on to the other.
To Ayton watch 2025.
All right, so Blazers tried hard to trade Deandre Ayton. No one was taking him in his $35.5 million contract. And so, bought him out. They negotiated a buyout to where they owe him $25 million, which will count against their cap next year. And he will go out and try and find a new team. The Lakers have been discussed. The Pacers have been discussed. They need a center. Both teams need centers. I'm surprised the Lakers thing hasn't happened already, although the reports out there is that they're really looking for maybe someone that they, can rely on to play defense, which is not Ayton's strong suit. But if he could commit to defense, well, hey, that would be a perfect fit because he would be a great lob threat and a mid-range guy for Luka to play off of. So we'll see what happens there. The Bucks just start turning. Never mind. The Celtics need a center. That's a possibility as well. Anyway, so the story for Portland, though. This was centerpiece, the flurry of trades they did in 2023. The flurry of trades that I called smoke and mirrors. I thought, yeah, if this is your guy that you're relying on, a former number one pick that a team has given up on, whose two stars said Durant and Booker said they didn't want to play with him anymore. If you think he's going to turn things around and become a star, you're asking for something that's never happened before, because never in the history of the league that I can find has a former number one pick not succeeded with Team A that picked him, was moved, and then became a star elsewhere. It doesn't happen. It's just something that if you can't figure it out in one spot, it's really difficult to figure it out later. Now, Lowry Markkanen was the number one pick, but third team. But Lowry was just struggling to be a player, not struggling to find the motivation to be a player. That's been Ayton's problem. He's moody, he's up and down, he can be, malcontent, et cetera, et cetera. And that didn't change in Portland at all. And so that's why they moved off of him. So now people are spinning this like, oh, but still look at the Dame package. We got Kamara and Denny. Okay. And then they count everything they got in 4 trades, and they'll compare it to what allegedly was available from Miami. And there was all sorts of reports about what they could get from Miami. Nothing was ever concrete because Joe Cronin never sat down to actually negotiate. But you can't compare what you got in 4 trades to what you would have gotten 1. And oh, by the way, in the 1, you would have gotten a guy, an all-star, who's better than everyone on your team except maybe second half of the season Denny. Denny's been in the league 5 years. He's had one half of the season which you can compare to Tyler Hero's career. So Hero would have been your best player. Oh, we don't want a Hero because we got Shady Sharp, we got Ant. Well, you don't have Ant anymore. We had Scoot. Well, is Scoot and Sharp better than Hero? No, they're not. But you could have gotten Hero, then maybe just trade Hero. Anyway, that's not the point anymore. The point is that whole situation, if not for asking for Kamara, a guy you could have drafted, by the way, and passed on twice,
and didn't. If
not for getting him back, it is a complete disaster other than the Bucks picks in the future, which may or may not be something. Now, people want to count the Denny thing. They could have traded for Denny at any point in the last year from the trade through when they traded for him. Denny was infinitely available. Like they had to make the Dame trade and get Brogdon.
Brogdon was the weight. Brogdon was the weight of the trade, not the asset.
Brogdon could have been anybody. Brogdon could have been Nurkic. Yes. Brogdon could have been Johnson and Nasir and someone else just to get the salary match. Like it could have been anybody. So people are actually taking someone was trying to say, oh, they got 5 first-round picks. They were literally, and Denny, and Kamara. They were counting the picks. Swaps his picks, which you can't do, and then they were counting 2 of the picks they gave for Denny. They were counting, and they go back. I'm like, what are you doing? So the mental gymnastics people are doing to try and sugarcoat this thing. I'm not trying to rip on the Blazers or rip on Cronin or anybody. I'm just saying that this is a disaster because I maintained at the beginning, if Deandre Ayton could come to Portland and blossom, boom, you're in great shape because you got a legitimate star in the middle who can literally do everything. But the fact that you had to come off this guy for 0, I get why they did it. thing hurts because they are not better. What anyone says. They are not better right now, losing their top scorer and their top rebounder, who was fourth on the team in scoring, and the only guy on the team who averaged a double-double for Holiday. Where they're at right now. They're not better. The team that just ended the season, I believe, would sweep the team that you have on the court right now that you play tomorrow. Sweep them in a series. Because Ayton's taking Klingon to school, because Klingon's still a kid. Ant's firing off threes. You got we're shooting teams in the NBA last year without Ant. What are you now? Seventh, I think. Seventh from the bottom. Now you're third from the bottom. So they need to make some moves, man. I'm telling you right now, they have no chance of being 500 right now. And I've maintained this from the beginning. If they don't have a winning season with a new owner coming in, and he looks at this, everyone could be gone. I'm not wishing that. I hate to see it. I like everyone down there. But to me, unless they do something, this is all bad. 100%.
So you went like a very good 10 minutes on that, or whatever that was. No, I'm making up numbers. I didn't time. I'm just going to say it in one sentence. You're paying DeAndre Ayton $25 million to play for someone else, and you got nothing in return. That's it. That's it. You're paying somebody $25 million to play for someone else. That's it. That's bad. It's bad. There's no twist to say it's good. There's no twist.
Now they'll say it's addition by subtract.
No, right. But addition by subtraction is bad. It's bad. It's bad because that means you messed up. Whenever people say it's addition by subtraction, I'm not saying the move doesn't make sense, but it's bad. You got a player that you thought was going to be, a starter.
They
and
built him up as a top five center. They called him a top five center.
A possible all-star. Possible all-star. And in the end, nobody would take him for anything. You couldn't trade him for 2 second-round picks. I mean, and because his contract, I get it. Why? But bottom line is, addition by subtraction means we had to get rid of a guy to get better and get nothing in return and pay him to walk away. When you do that with a coach, it doesn't hit your salary cap. Right. If you do, even injured players often have insurance. Like money. You just given $25 million to DeAndre Ayton to play for the Lakers or the Pacers or someone else. So that now your only hope is he'll make them worse. Right. That's it. That's it. Because if he goes to a team other than you, that means they got better and you didn't. Because you didn't get an asset. Now, you could argue, yes, they feel that again, all this comes down to me going back to you screaming at me in a good way, because that's what we do, about telling me why the Simons trade made sense because they wanted to win now. And I'm like, well, everything they've done since, including this, does not tell me they want to win now. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean,
they're killing me, Smalls.
Right. It's just crazy. Obviously, he's their best center. He's better than a 20-year-old guy who played in the Chinese professional basketball league last year. There's no way he's not. He's obviously better than Klingon, especially on one side of the ball. So, and he's better than Williams, who doesn't play because he can't stay healthy. So it's bad. And in a way, if you weren't going to play for this year, I think bring him back, let him play, and try to trade him then. Like, if he can say to him, like, hey, man, just give us 20 games. Cut him after 20. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a very strange move. Now, because you got to pay him. They're not getting a 5-year spread. So it's just weird. I get it. If you're Chauncey Billups, you're saying, look, I can't get this guy to play. And he's undermining me. Because if I play him, all the things I tell the other guys about what they need to do to get on the floor, it's not, I'm a hypocrite. So I'd rather you just dump this guy now and give me what we got. And I think I can win more games with it that way. So, but it's not good because of the one sentence. You're paying DeAndre Ayton $25 million to play for another team. Bad. That's it. But yeah, I mean, they have it's not like they got a ton of cap room. But here's the thing: nobody has cap room other than the Brooklyn Nets. So there's not like there's players, but I don't know what you're looking for. Do you go get it? I mean, if you want to win now, you suddenly kind of need a center that is a legit starter, but you got 3 on your roster that you're hoping to play. I mean, so I don't see where the minutes. Obviously, if you can't trade Williams now, you'd like for him to play so you can trade him. Now, he doesn't have to play a lot. He could play 17 minutes a game. You know what I mean? So, which actually works because, I do not know if Hansen Young, I want to say it right, but I just don't. I know they're both acceptable. I don't see how a 20-year-old that's never even played against consistent top-level talent can step in and be very good.
No, he's not.
Even Jokic wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, even Jokic wasn't. So, if you're playing that guy 20 minutes a game, you suck. You know what I mean? Like, you're a bad team. So, to what you said, like, you don't see this team going 500, absolutely agree.
They have to make another move. They haven't done anything yet, which is fine. They have the full mid-level because they're under the tax, $14 million. They have a biannual at 5 something. They have a 6.9, I think, million trade exception. But so there's a million ways to dissect and spin these kind of things. But here's what I go to. The best the Blazers looked all season was when they won 10 out of 11, right? Sure, by far. Ayton, they were 8-0 with Ayton in the lineup during that stretch, okay? He averaged 19 and 12 at 57% shooting. Okay, during that stretch, Klingon missed the first 3 wins and missed another win. So he played in 7 of the games. Klingon played 13 minutes a game and averaged 2.3 points and 6.3 rebounds. So Ayton was huge during that stretch. 25 and 20 against huge, killing it. I remember him talking.
Should have traded him. Should have traded him then.
I think they tried, but I don't think still anyone wanted because people knew. Right, people know that he can do that. They also know what else comes with it. He was important for that. Now they had a close to 500 record after he was done for the season. We didn't know he was done for the season after the cap thing. But as we all know, they struggled to defeat winning teams. They won a lot of games against either mediocre teams missing a key player or bad teams missing multiple stars. I mean, it was a run where it was a lot of question marks because they weren't really beating anybody. So Donovan Klingon has no track record of consistently being a contributor to winning. And he shouldn't. He's a rookie. He was a backup last year. Sometimes he was the third string point guard. Center. So that's not an indictment on him at all. He's a kid, right? And I expect growth from him. But he's not going to give you the kind of growth you need to be 500 next season. I just don't believe that's going to happen. And then your backup right now is Williams, who's only played 26 games in 2 seasons. He can't be relied upon. Now, if he comes back and he can give you 65 games and 20 minutes a night, great. Now you're doing pretty well because those two as a combo you can get by with, I think. But if he can't do it, now you're screwed because then you're going to Reef, who doesn't play any defense, and then you're going to Young. And Young is not going to be ready to go from the Chinese Basketball Association to contributing to winning in the NBA. If he was that good, it wouldn't have been a shock that he was taking 16th. The Blazers would have had to trade up from 11 to 8 to get him. Not that guy. Now, maybe they're geniuses and he's going to be that guy. I just don't buy it. So to me, if your top 2 centers are Klingon and Young, you're in trouble. At 21 and 20, you're in trouble.
Even with Williams, though, there's no offense coming out of that middle. They can work around that. And when they had those two working in combo, they did some pretty nice things. Because at least you knew no matter who was out there, you had defense, you had size, you had rebounding. They get the hell out of the way on pick and roll. They wouldn't clog the lane waiting for the midi, the pass for the midi like Ayton. Like they did some nice as a combo. So I'd have some hope for them if there's Williams and Klingon, but you just can't rely on Williams. And so it's going to end up being Klingon and Young unless they go out and make a move, and then you're in trouble. And look, well,
this is still
obviously they need shooters with this team because
exactly
with that right now you got Scoot and Sharp and Drew Holiday. None of those, 2 of them can't shoot. Like historically.
Oh, they used to be able to shoot. They
right.
had that season last year, right?
And he's Drew Holiday. He's not. That's not. You don't have him because he's a shooter. You know what I mean? Like, you're not. He's got the ball. He's going to facilitate and he's going to play defense. But Kamara really going to have to shoot the lights out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Denny going to have to shoot the lights out.
Well,
and that's not there.
Yeah, they have guys who can make the wide open three.
Sure.
But you can't live off of that unless you can only live off of that. You got a dude like a Kobe, like a Jokic, like a whatever, who can score in any way possible, and the other teams have to defend in a certain way, which allows you to be wide open for open threes.
Sure.
If you don't have that guy, defend you straight up, and you're not going to hit the three. We have to go off balance a little bit, or you got dribble to your left and do a little like a little fade or something, or step back like Ant does, like Damian does. So that's where they're going to be in trouble. And they were seventh, I think, in 3-point shooting percentage. Of all the teams in the bottom 8, only one made the playoffs, and that was Orlando. The rest were all horrible teams. And you've done nothing. You've only hurt your 3-point shooting. And I see 3-point shooters sign. Tim Hardaway just signed with who? I forget. Was it Denver? Didn't he sign with Denver?
I did not see that.
Tim Hardaway Jr.? Hold on. I think it was Denver. Yep, Denver Nuggets. So Denver Nuggets, already a 50-win team, went out and got themselves a legit shooter from a playoff team. He signed, but not that much. You could have gotten him with your mid. I'm not that he would choose you, but I'm just saying teams out there that are already good are going out and getting dudes who can shoot. You're doing nothing. As this team is right now, you don't have one guy in your roster now that Ant's gone. That's a get their own shot guy, except for Shaden. And Shaden's completely up and down, right? You don't have a legitimate starting center to consider yourself a postseason contender. I don't believe. Now, maybe Klingon will surprise, but he's still young. He was barely in shape last year. How's he going to handle 30-plus minutes his second year? I don't see it. And your point guard is up and down erratic, who's going to be orchestrating this thing. Your best player is probably Denny, who's never been a high-end playoff caliber player for an entire season. He was somewhat that in the second half of last season, but on any good team, he's a third or fourth option. He's not a legit number 1 or number 2 option on a good team that we know that we've ever seen in his career. So what do you have? Who am I missing? Jeremy, you want to get rid of. He knows it. So who knows what attitude he's going to bring to the table. So what am I missing? Am I missing somebody?
No. I mean, you're basically asking Sharp to step up and be an all-star. This is it.
Yeah. You need a bunch of guys to all elevate 2 or 3 levels at the same time. And I'm totally off right now of them being a postseason team. I'm off of it. There's no way. I'd be absolutely floored. Now, if they do something in the next month or so, maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, no, not going to happen.
Yeah, and, the thing is, with all the moves, I can't see exactly the path. Like, it feels like they're just, often when you see things, you can be like, oh, I get that. Like what Milwaukee just did. I get it. You had to get somebody to keep Giannis, and the only way you could do that was by releasing Dame, who wasn't going to play next year anyway.
Right.
The other teams that are, like the Hawks, made a crap ton of moves. And you're like, oh, I can see that. I understand. I don't understand I don't know how they all relate. I don't get why I still don't understand. The trade now for Drew Holiday is weirder. Like, this team with Simons is better. Like, it makes more sense. Like, and you feel like you'd give him runway to get more. Keeping Ayton, I just don't get exactly what they're doing. And they said you got to trust. Well, I mean, the track record says, well, I don't know. You know why? Because you thought that Deandre Ayton was going to flourish and he was going to change, and he didn't. You thought Chris Murray was a lottery type pick, and he's not. You thought Scoot was a no-brainer, which that one, I think 90% of the league would have taken him third, right? I just don't. I also think 75% of the league would have traded the pick and tried to get somewhere with Dame. So it's not like these They aren't. When you look at what certain teams are doing with their front offices, and some that have changed front offices, you're like, oh, okay. And I don't understand. And it's not 1 year, it's not 2 years. Like at some point in time, teams get moving and don't have excuses for why they're struggling. And we had a lot of, quote unquote excuses in the Neil O'Shea for why they weren't a top 4 team.
Right.
But he got him to be
given.
He got him to be in the playoffs. And he kept saying, like, you get where you get and then you roll the dice, right? Like if you could, and it for one time it got him to the Western Conference Finals.
Dude, even the year they didn't want to make the playoffs, they made the playoffs.
Right. Yep. So, and with this team, it's now we're going into year. I mean, when does the rebuild start? Everyone wants to argue about it, but to me, it
started with Shaden. It started with trading CJ, trading Powell. You trade 3 starters.
Yep.
You drafted a guy 7. That was the start. Now you can say the post-Dame rebuild began in 23. That's fine, but you started before then, and you sat there in July of 23, and you signed Grant to a 5-year deal, and you maxed Batiste. He's out the door going to Dallas. His agent made that contract as poisonous as possible, and they matched it. And I sat there in Vegas and asked, are you doing this because you think you're honestly going to win next season? Or is the plan to try and tank to keep pace with Oklahoma City and Houston? That video, people posted on Twitter and trashed me for asking that question. But it was a legit question because look at where we are now. You got a contract in Grant you can't get rid of, and you're spinning your wheels. So, and again, I'm not trying to dog anyone at all. I'm just telling it like it is, bro. And a new owner is coming. Let's sound the new owner. Thanks, Jody. $4 billion. I bought this team. Okay, what do I got? Okay. Just lost for the 5th straight season. Okay. And you had 4 lottery picks. Oh, and you traded a popular player in franchise history. Okay. And you traded his sidekick. Oh, yeah. Okay. And what do you have to show for it? Oh, a bunch of kids who may or may not be good. Oh, you got Kamara. Oh, you could have drafted Kamara. You got Denny. 2 role players, Denny and Kamara, and a couple young guys I'm still waiting on. Why am I keeping that in place when I can go out and Calvin Booth, GM for the Denver Nuggets, is available. Sai is available. There's going to be GMs out there who have built championship teams available who that GM is not going to be scared to go pay. That owner is going to go pay the going rate. And the same for a coach. I mean, around the league, Chauncey's respected and he could find another job. But again, that owner who didn't hire these people, who doesn't know them, is going to say, but I can get a coach. Yeah, maybe Chauncey can win with a better team, but I can get a coach who's won and a GM who's won. Why am I not doing that? $4 billion on this team.
Look, I mean, all these things are sometimes you get insulated. Toronto fired their president GM that won the only title they ever had. You know what I mean?
He got fired. He stepped down, didn't he? I thought there was a mutual thing.
They say it's mutual, but I mean, not often they are. That's fine, but he's out.
Regardless.
I'm just saying, like, you won a title in Denver, you get fired. You're coach of the year, you get fired. I mean, like, you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, you get fired as a coach. Like, the Blazers are nice to extend Joe Cronin and Chauncey Billups.
But I don't think it was nice. Well, okay, I think it was nice.
Or strategic because it worked. Because they didn't have to make
them.
Yes,
they knew they were going to sell. They didn't wake up after, they knew they were going to sell.
Sure.
And so they said, well, you guys won to take us out of the Cooper Flag sweepstakes because we put pressure on Cronin, we put pressure on Billups, which still at the end of the day is going to go down as a disaster, I believe.
Bad.
And people say, oh, well, Dallas won it anyway. Whatever. 4th, 5th pick, better than 11. Anyway, it doesn't matter. the point is, I think they hooked them up. Okay, when a new owner comes in, you guys might all get fired, but you got 3 years of salary coming.
There you go. Well, and now it's on. We don't have to do, and we don't have to do anything. Like the decision's made.
Right. It's not going to be on us.
So we
put you up.
And if you go 0-18, I don't think we'll do anything because it's not our team. So I'm just saying, like, I think that there's just this is not a passing grade. What's happened in the last 4 years? It's just not.
Right. I mean, there's still potential.
Sure.
There's still potential.
The best grade you can give them is an incomplete.
Yeah. For all we know, Scoot and Shaden next year both blow up at the same time. And we're like, whoa.
There you go.
Reincarnation of Damian CJ, but with a more athletic and taller CJ. Right? That could happen. And Denny could be a 27-7.
He will
Pippen. He could be Pippen, right? Doing everything, playing defense, leading the fast break, guarding the like. You already got, Kamara's going to give you a legit 3-and-D guy. Klingon could, take a next step towards becoming the next Sabonis. Who knows? All these things are possible, but the odds are all those things aren't going to happen at once. Unless everyone.
And so far, none of them have happened.
Walton's and genes. Yeah, and and we're not writing it off, but I'm just saying it just doesn't like it. I just don't get it because maybe there's a plan coming, maybe there's something coming we don't know. Like anything can happen.
Yep.
But I'm just saying they got to do something because this roster as is right now, no bueno. I don't buy it. You know me, man. I will try. I've been trying to find ways so badly for this team.
You've been trying to be optimistic,
to be respectable. When they started winning last year, I was so excited because I got to write about the standing. The Blazers only trailed about 2.5 games. Just to even type that for the first time in 4 years was fun. but I just don't see it right now.
I'm with you.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think we're good. You got it out. I think you feel better. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, that was therapeutic. I should have been lying on the couch the whole time. And then, Craig, they just bought out their best center. What are they doing? How does that make you feel, Aaron?
That's right. We need to animate.
What was your relationship like with your mother? All right. We're going to be back for, Craig doesn't know this yet, for a Summer League preview, baby. That's in like a week.
All right.
Summer League's coming in a week. It's going to be the young Hansen watch. Center from China? You said China, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's right. You got it.
I got to get back into that mode after I clear my head from the Damian Ayton stuff. Anyway, we'll be back with that sometime in the next, probably early next week. Until then, take care. Thanks for listening to the Blazer Focus.